come up with something. A week later, I find myself standing outside a clinic door waiting for Chevalier. I'm sorry to have you kept waiting, Princess. You could drop the title, you know. Lucette. But you're a princess in my eyes. Yes, but you do not need to address me by title. Just my name is fine. Chevalier reaches out to take my hand, but then immediately I right-click. Sorry. Then immediately pulls his hand back, eyes wide. Ah, I forgot it. Forgot what? The medicine that I needed for Parfait. Give me a moment. Lucette? Chevalier plants a quick kiss on my forehead before running inside. I stare at the stars as I wait. I turn but see no one walking around the plaza. I inch closer to the door of the clinic as I take another look around. Boo. I suddenly see the silhouette of a man. He takes a few more steps toward me, then stops in front of me. I recognize him immediately. His appearance left quite an impression on me last time. Out at the night by yourself? Certainly you know how that wolves prowl these streets at night. What do you want? I take a step back and press myself to the door, reaching for the door handle, but the man reaches out a hand to grab my wrist, holding it to the door. I say my answer to that question is complicated, Princess. Alright. By the expression on your face, I must have hit the nail right on the head. You are the princess. How do you know who I am? That is part of the mystery, isn't it? I attempt to wrestle my wrist out of his fingers. Come with me if you want to live. Come with me quietly and you won't get hurt. Oh wait. So Rumpel comes, he's not a fighter. Oh man. Oh boy. Kish, you choose. Which one should I do? I open my mouth to scream, but before I can breathe, the man's hand flies to my mouth. You're a disobedient one, aren't you? I struggle against his grasp. It does not take long for the grin to fall from his face. It is replaced with a look that lacks any amusement. I enjoy seeing you struggle, but I'm afraid that we've been out here for too long. I bang my shoulder against the door and the resounding creak follows my attempt. No more, Mr. Nice Guy. The man opens a small vial right in front of my face. Something sweet wafts in the air, and I suddenly feel myself falling into darkness as I collapse. Okay. Kish, don't say it. Don't say it. It's not what it looks like, okay? Where am I? I glance around me. My room. I look around cautiously, checking to see if anything in my room is different. The last time I was here was before I was cursed. How is it that the room is the same? Sleeping Beauty has awoken. I move to stand up before realizing that my legs are numb. Shame to see you so easily tamed, Princess, and here I thought you would be fun. I glance up to look at the man who is standing right at my bedside. How do you know who I am? Are you a witch? A witch? Me? Ha! He bursts into laughter. I would rip the witches to shreds if I could. He could? If he could, then you're cursed? The man simply smirks at me but says nothing in response. He brushes the words aside with a gesture of his hand. Are you working for Mithros? Probably. I glare at his vague answer. My name is Varg. and I have been assigned to be your personal knight. I already have a personal knight. Oh, you mean Fritz? I got rid of him. What? You? No, playing with the Queen's daughter, Varg. No, but oh wait. Who's the? Oh god. Mithros enters the room. Now he stands in the doorway, eyeing the both of us with a smile that is oddly reminiscent of his usual one that makes me sick. Mithros? Princess, you look more and more like your mother every day. Why, the scowl on your face is almost a perfect reflection. He moves to stand in front of me. At the same time, Varg begins to take a slow and careful step to the edge of my room. What have you done with everyone? Inconsequential or consequential? What? Mithros clicks his tongue impatiently. Inconsequential or consequential people? I narrow my eyes at him. I have no idea who he defines as inconsequential or consequential. Stop saying that word, please! Where are the king and the rest of the family? Where is Fritz? Were you the one who killed Sir Alcaster? Inconsequential and... inconsequential and consequential then. To start, your knight is gone, princess. I've replaced him with Varg here. And Alcaster? Well, we had a common cause at first. We both wanted the crown. Sir Alcaster was also betraying the king? But Alcaster was a brute. He wanted to needlessly kill the royal family and steal the crown for himself. At first, I had thought he was calm and calculating. But it turns out that he was just a power-hungry fool. Though I did want to take the crown, I wanted to avoid the bloodshed of certain important people. Mithros smiles at me. It is a look that makes my blood run cold. So I disposed of him and the rest of his knights, but don't worry, princess. I assure you that your family is resting in their rooms, just like you are resting in yours. Huh? Do not worry, you will see them shortly after dinner. For dinner. What? For dinner? You have cooked them up? I have my doubts about Mithros' story, but if what he said is true, then Sir Alcaster wanted to kill the royal family, and Mithros saved them. But then he decimated the knights and took the royal family hostage. Why would he do such a thing? They're prisoners. I almost said presidents. Prisoners in their own home? Nonsense. We're all just waiting for the Queen's return together. The Queen? Slowly I feel pieces beginning to fit together. The Queen! You cannot be talking about Ophelia. Fuck, this is such a creepy... Delora, why are you so creepy? Delora, do you think witches are incapable of bringing back the dead? Mother is dead. Is she really? You can bring Mother back from the dead? We can, princess. We? The Queen has been resting for a long time waiting for you to gain your power so that you can help her escape her prison. You're not making any sense. I struggle to keep my words from faltering. How is Mother alive? And what does he mean by a prison? The TB is the Queen's prison. Is a link to the Queen's power. Though others presumed she was dead, the Queen sealed the last of her powers inside the crystal. All she requires is your power, princess. My power? When you become the next bearer, you will have the ability to release the Queen from her prison. My birthday is in a week. That is when I am meant to take on the responsibilities of becoming the bearer. Though Parfait and Delora never went into more detail beyond that. You finally get to see your mother again, princess. I still cannot quite take in everything he has just said. However, if Mithros had approached me before the curse, he would have helped Mother in a heartbeat. But it was Mother who's the last TB bearer, and the one who brought darkness to NGL. I once believed that Mother was the only person to ever love me. Now I know that I was wrong. That she shut me in from a world that I should have known. But still, even now, I wish she was here. I take a deep breath. But I cannot afford to be selfish. I cannot put anyone else in danger. I will not help you. You don't have a choice, princess. I have set the stage for my queen's return. All that's left is to free her from her cage. We will speak more of this at the dining table. Mithros leaves the room, leaving me briefly with Varg. Varg smiles at me beneath his mask, then brings his index finger to the temple of his head, then loops it. He mouths the words crazy. You said you would tear witches apart, so why do you serve Mithros? A good question. You're not gonna answer me. No shit, princess. He smirks at me before following Mithros out the door. And once left by myself in the room, everything Mithros just told me swirls through my mind. My mother, alive. And he killed everyone only to take the crown and keep it for her. A shudder runs through my body. She can't return. I spend the next hour looking around my room for things that might aid my escape. I know where everyone else's rooms too, but I have no idea how heavily guarded they are, and I doubt I can help them. I must return to the Martian. I test the window, but it is locked, probably with magic. I search my shelves. The dolls that I used to comfort me can do nothing for me now. Last I check my drawers, but though there are many things in them, there is nothing that looks like it could help me escape. As I am searching, I come across a box and pause to pick it up. Isn't that Waltz's box? I remember this. It was given to me by Mother with strict instructions to not open it and always keep the key hidden. I search the drawer again for the key. The moment I begin to set the box down, I see a small golden key at the bottom of the drawer. I pick it up and am about to open the box when I stop. What? No! This is hardly a priority right now. I set the key down next to the box. I should be searching for the way to escape. I return to see Varg's smiling face at the door. You look like a criminal who's been caught doing something naughty. Says the criminal himself. Maybe we're meant for each other. I narrow my eyes as he approaches. Behind his back, I can make out the open door. Don't even think about it. You don't want me to pounce on you in the hallways, do you? That would be unpleasant. Varg grabs my wrist. I attempt to struggle free, but he holds tight to me. I will be your escort to dinner tonight. I keep my head held high as Varg escorts me from the room. On the way to the dining hall, I glimpse the rest of the palace. It is mostly empty, save for a few soldiers. The soldiers that do not stand there have a glazed look in their eyes and look right through me. Puppets. A spell cast by Mithros? Varg does not answer me as he pulls me through the hallway. Soon I find myself in the dining hall. The guards usually standing by the walls are gone. Now there is only the royal family, and they seem to be unharmed. You. I can see recognition in the king's eyes. My heart flutters as he stands or tries to. He manages to rise, but only just barely. I notice that his feet stay firmly planted where they are. Everyone's bodies look exceptionally stiff. Is this some kind of spell? You were the girl that was outside my palace months ago. Mithros, what is the meaning of this? I notice that the king is not at the head of the table as usual. Everyone sits at the table's sides except for Mithros, who is at the far end. The king's seat, however, is clear. I simply brought back the crown, princess. You should be thanking me, Gennaro. I have reunited you with your daughter. My daughter? The king raises an eyebrow, clearly skeptical. I can see in his eyes that he is loath to trust anything Mithros has to say. The king slumps in the chair as Varg leads me to a seat just beside Rod. I notice Emmeline sitting just to Rod's side. She forces a smile onto my face, but I can see tears gathering in her eyes. Allow me to offer a more formal introduction for our guest, even though you all know her. Her name is Lucette Riella Breton, and she is the crown princess of Angel, and your blood daughter, Gennaro. The king looks at me again. This time there is more uncertainty in his gaze. Prince Rod will tell you, won't he? Rod? Rod looks at me, his gaze quiet but expectant. I turn to the king and the rest of my stepfamily. Nice to meet you all. There's no point in trying to convince the king of my birthright here and now. I would only confuse him more, and now is not the time or place. I glance at Mithros, who is smiling at me expectantly. Besides, Mithros must have a reason for insisting on my birthright right now. Most likely, he just needs to confuse the king even more. But if that's the case, I will not play into such a petty scheme. My name is Lucette. Thank you for your kindness that one time. Rod looks shocked. I scowl at him before turning to look at Mithros. Mithros' smile has twisted into a frown. I feel proud in seeing him caught off guard. Lucette, what are you doing here? Gennaro, she is undoubtedly your daughter. That is why she is in the room that you have been taking care of. What? The king's eyes widen. He looks at a loss for words. Princess, the king has been keeping your room clean and tidy for the sake of nostalgia, and he has no idea why. Magic works in interesting ways, doesn't it? I was wondering why my room was unchanged, but could it be that the king remembered me somehow? I look up at him, but he has already glanced away from me, his expression a complicated twist of confusion and helplessness. It seems that even the king does not fully understand. I turn to Mithros. It can work in both good and bad ways. Ah yes, the fairy tale curse is terrible, isn't it? I catch Varg's eyes from the side of the room. He glances away from me and I follow his gaze into the corners of the room. I hadn't noticed before, but now I see a cloaked figures hiding in the shadows. Witches. They must be the one holding everyone in place if they try to escape. But not all magic is terrible, like the magic we will use to revive the queen. You are insane. Hilda is mad. You have no right to refer her to You have no right to refer to her by name. A sudden chill envelops the room. I can feel actual icicles on the table. I pull my hands away. Now, we are going to eat dinner, and we are going to enjoy it. Damn! And every day will be just like this until the queen arrives. Rod glares across the table at Mithros. Why? Why would we not enjoy dinner together? That's downright bad. Why go through the charade day after day? I stare across the table at Mithros glaring. I already told you before. I had to clear this palace of traitors. Outcaster planned on stealing the crown, and I stole it back. But because the time of the queen's revival is so close, I've decided to keep the crown with me until I can return to its appropriate owner. Queen Hilda is the true owner of the crown. I thought it best that we all wait out her arrival together. Sounds like mom. He does sound like a very, very dictatorish mom. We'll have dinner together and we will be happy. You will eat your vegetables. But know this. When my queen demands it, I will kill all of you. I simply refuse to act without her orders. This time, guards come into the room with food that set it out before us, and we are forced to eat beneath Mithros' watchful gaze. Though I tried to spot an opening in the dining hall, I can find no way out. This really is a prison. 2 days pass. I've been searching for ways out, and trying to ease more answers out of Varg and Mithros. Neither of them are very forthcoming. Both enjoy speaking in riddles. Varg especially is holy shit. Varg especially is an enigma. Whenever I try to ask him about Fritz, he smirks at me and remains silent. Open the box, Lucette! What? Not going to even try asking any questions tonight? I am not getting any answers from Varg. It is almost my birthday too, and I need to find a way out of here. I'm disappointed. You're the only fun I have in here, princess. Maybe if I'm quiet, he'll leave me alone. If you're just going to be quiet and sulk, I guess I'll be going. Remember, don't try anything funny. There are knights just outside your door. Varg bows mockingly. He leans down to pat me on the head before he turns and leaves. Open the box! I can't give up. I once again begin my search through my room. Time is running out, and there is nothing I can do besides search for a way out. But I know that if I leave the room, the knights will catch me immediately. If I had a weapon, I might stand a chance. I pump my fingers to my neck and remember what Chevalier told me about. Sleep? The sound comes from outside my door. It's a woman's voice. The door opens suddenly and Chevalier and Delore are both in my room. Princess! I am startled to see Chevalier standing before me, his eyebrows drawn over his eyes with great worry. Beside him stands Delore with her arms crossed. Well, aren't you a sight for sore eyes? We're here to stage a daring rescue. I rush to Chevalier and wrap my arms around him. He puts a hand on the small of my neck? On my back? He puts a hand on the small of my back and smiles down at me. What the hell is the small of my back? We're going to get you out of here, princess. How did you both get in here? With the power of magic! Dramatic, even at a time like this. The two exchange a look before looking at me seriously. Parfait, Waltz, the Knights, and Karma are all here. We thought we'd just be fighting witches. We weren't expecting the Knights. No matter what we said, we couldn't get through them. They're under a spell. Mithros. He wants to release Mother. Both of them look at me with confusion. What? Mother is still alive, just inside the TB. Mithros wants to bring her back. That's impossible. The Queen is still alive? Chevalier looks worried, while Delore's expression is more rigid and resolute. We can't let that happen. I don't know how the Queen would be alive in the first place, but... Well, we'll worry about that later. Right. We have time later to discuss the specifics of everything, but right now, we need to get out of here. Right. Everyone is keeping the guards and witches busy for you, princess. I'll distract Mithros. Chevalier, I'm counting on you to get the princess to safety. That's why I'm here! Princess, can you get me through the palace? I cannot just leave everyone here. Don't worry, Garland is seeing to saving your family. No, I cannot just leave everyone in the margin here to do things for me. Who said we can't afford to lose you? I told you I would do anything to protect you, and I will. The sooner you're safe, the sooner we'll have the advantage. You are the legitimate heir to the throne, and the next TV bear. You cannot let yourself remain in Mithros' hands. Yes, too. The situation is, the situation is indeed most dire. So for now, we must hurry. I nod my head feebly. Without another word, the three of us head toward the door. Delore exits first and stops immediately. I almost run into her. I glance through the doorway and see Varg waiting just outside, holding a blade across Delore's neck. Delore holds her hand and deflects the sword as it slides harmlessly past her neck. Varg slides away, still holding out his sword. His usual smirk is half-hearted at best. Get out of our way. You're awfully demanding, aren't you? Pretty please? No can do, man lady. Shame. Looks like I'll have to destroy that pretty mask of yours along with everything else underneath. Damn. Delore holds her hand and summons a wall of electric orbs. With a flick of her wrist, she sends them rushing toward Varg, who dodges with surprising speed. Varg's movements appear sluggish, but I've seen his fast reflexes. He is playing with Delore, even though I do not think he has the advantage. He drops the sword, and for a few moments I feel Delore has the advantage. Then suddenly he raises the cane he usually holds at his side and taps it on the ground. A burst of smoke escapes from the bottom of it, shrouding the room. What? An enchanted cane? Are you serious? You're not the only one with tricks up your sleeve. Delora! Chevalier, get her out of here. Let's go, princess. Chevalier takes my hand in his and begins to lead me away. I turn to glance back at Delore and Varg and realize that while Delore is completely on the offensive, Varg does nothing but dodge. It's as if he's trying to buy time for something. I banish the thought from my head as Chevalier pulls me down the hall. How rude! Haven't you heard of chivalry? I spot Karma, still in his dress, holding the sword out at the man in front of him. When the man lunges, Karma dodges back and grunts as his back comes to a wall. I suppose chivalry is dead then. He steps off to the side as the possessed knight attacks him with his blade. The sword catches his dress but does not hinder him from stepping forward and aiming a jab with his sword beneath the knight's armor. The knight kills, but the sword does not fall from his hand. Karma looks up at us sharply. What are you just doing there, standing there? Move! Oh. It takes a moment to realize that just as I was frozen, so too was Chevalier. His face is pale as he grabs my hand again and once again starts rushing me down to the other end of the hall. Chevalier's steps are wider than mine, and I have to struggle to keep up. But the further we go down the hall, the more apparent it becomes that there are too many obstacles in the way. We pass Urian and Garland as we move too, and they manage to clear the path for us. These knights! Will they not stop moving until Mithros is defeated? I hope the king and everyone else is alright. As we pass Urian and Garland, I tell them where the royal family is, but I have no way of knowing that the words have reached their ears amidst all the sound. Chevalier? So the stab wounds in the armor that we saw earlier were from the knights themselves, but why would they battle each other? What? The punctures in the armors that we saw in the clinic, the stab wounds in the gut and the arms. Chevalier's eyes are so distant, it is as if she is looking right through me. We need to keep moving. I take his hand and lead him forward. I don't know what he's talking about, but we could talk about this later. Right now we have to escape. We are closer to the palace entrance when we see them. A group of knights stand in two lines on both sides of the hall, facing each other. At the far end of the hallway stands a gaggle of witches, and in between them Mithros. Well, shit. Good evening. Do you enjoy your stroll around the palace? Chevalier immediately moves to stand in front of me, the cloudiness in his eye gone. The cloudiness is gone from his eyes, but what leaves his mouth is not a demand but a question. How could you do this? How? It's quite easy, actually. You know what I mean. Why would you make the knights fight one another? A foolish question. Obviously, it is because they are inconsequential. On a stage, some pawns exist as easily replaceable extras. I am interested in keeping only the actors. In the grand scheme of things, the extras aren't needed. In fact, I can make them do whatever I need in order to get the best outcome. He snaps his fingers and the knights raise their swords. I tense, thinking that the knights are going to turn to us but never do. Here is the interlude for you to enjoy. The knights are attacking each other? The sound of metal ringing against metal fills the air. The knights' swords arch, dive, and stab. Mithros watches from behind them, the sly smile never leaving his lips. The two of us can only stand there stunned in silence. It isn't too long before we can see red. The smell of blood begins to linger in the air as swords cut through flesh. Abruptly, I snap to my senses. I attempt to move forward, but Chevalier remains firmly grounded. Chevalier! I heard many things about the doctor working at the clinics. I heard that he was a volunteer who had assisted in helping the injured during the Great War. I also heard that, until just recently, he had been cursed. I knew immediately upon seeing you that you were that volunteer. I suppose it is unavoidable that you and the princess know each other, but to think that you would be so close. Chevalier just stares blankly ahead. He looks almost like he is under a spell. His eyes are glazed. I continue to call his name. His eyes follow the sword movements of the knights, and he does not even spare me a glance. Have I unraveled the doctor? unraveled. Chevalier, snap out of it! Ah, just look at all these men you cannot save. All of these men dying before your eyes. Chevalier, we have to get out of here! How many people have you really saved? In the grand scheme of things, you have no talent. That is why you sought help from a witch. Mithros's voice is oddly calm, and I feel some sort of presence in the air that is different from normal. A knight plunges a sword through another's gut, causing him to lose his sword. The sword skitters across the floor, gleaming underneath the moonlight. I look desperately at Chevalier and realize that the magic is already working its way into him. He does not see anyone except for Mithros, who is still smiling at him behind all of the knights. I slowly inch backwards, making a show of looking at Chevalier. Neither Mithros nor Chevalier seem to see me. I will protect you. I will do whatever it takes, even if I have to kill someone. I pluck the sword from the ground and grasp it at the hilt. It feels heavy in my hand, but I ignore the weight. I rush down this hallway with the sword weaving my way to the side, so that I am out of the way of the knights fighting each other. I look squarely at Mithros, and then suddenly Chevalier's eyes flickered toward me, only momentarily, but enough for me to know that he is no longer looking at Mithros in the daze. I turn back and see Chevalier rubbing his hand across his eyes. Mithros snaps his finger, and two of the fighting knights turn and rush toward me. The knights manage to back me into a corner of a wall. I hold the blade out as they bear down at me, and I close my eyes. My hands shake on the hilt as I stand resolute, ready for the blow. But it does not come. Moments before the knights raise their swords, I am aware of breath on my cheek and a beautiful violet eyes staring into my own. Lucette! But the words ends up in a gasp as the blade is buried deep into Chevalier's chest. Ah! I could never get the good ending first. Oh, god damn it. I'm gonna... Ugh. His words fade as his hands slide down on either side of me. He slumps, and his head falls into my shoulder. No! A raw sound escapes my throat as I feel the warmth leaving Chevalier's body. Chevalier! I scream his name, and he looks up, but his eyes do not see me. They are somewhere far away. Mithros pulls Chevalier's body down to the ground, where it falls with a terrible thud. Inconsequential. I'm deaf to Mithros' word. I slump down beside Chevalier, my hands reaching for his. His eyes are still open, but the light in them is gone. No! Tears stream down my face. I cannot breathe, I cannot hear my heart. Everything is quiet and dark. Chevalier! Now that the obstacle is gone, you have nothing left, princess. Mithros' hand reaches for me. I attempt to lift the sword, but he knocks it easily out of my hands. Are you truly the queen's daughter? The queen never cried. She was the strongest woman I knew. I cannot breathe, and I cannot stifle the sobs escaping my throat. She taught me that sentimentality is nothing to value, that it would only make you weak. I assumed you knew that too, princess. But I was wrong. It will be a good thing when the queen is back on the throne. The weak do not win. He snaps his fingers, and the witches congregate around me. Now we shall use you to bait the fairy, and everyone else will fail. I will unravel this effort at its heart. He nudges Chevalier's body. I look down at Chevalier's ashen face and sob. I let the tears gather in my eyes until I cannot see anything. Nothing matters anymore.